Okay, so is this really necessary?
If he's gonna be on another episode, we're gonna need to do something about the smell.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's get this over with then.
Sugar-free cookies!
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of KORRACAST.
So if you haven't been on our Tumblr recently, you should check that out, because it's blowing up.
Oh no! Shut it down!
KORRACAST.tumblr.com. There's been a lot of cool activity over there recently, so cruise on over.
Sean, just tell us what happened in this issue.
Well...
No, tell us.
In part 3 of The Promise, Aang finds himself at the epicenter of a massive showdown between the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation over the colony of Yu Dao. The armies square off as Team Avatar fights to protect the fragile peace with the aid of the Metal Bending Academy and the Avatar Fan Club. Finally, Aang realizes that peace in the present demands change and a break from the ways of the old Avatar traditions. In the end, Aang and Zuko recognize the struggles ahead, but are encouraged by a bond of friendship that is stronger than ever. So that was part 3 of The Promise. I thought it was really good. My favorite part so far. What did you guys think, Vince?
Okay, my favorite part right here. Here it is.
Chewie? Ryan, what about you?
I thought it all came together in a way that made an ending.
Wait. Am I the only one who read this? And then, when all hope seemed lost, Avatar Aang, because he had the purest of hearts and the magical gumdrop. So now that we all are on the same page here, Vince.
Okay, so out of the 3 parts of The Promise, I definitely like this one the most. My favorite part was how it's set up for the search, and that is one of the things I'm interested the most in, is what happened to Zuko's mom.
Yeah, I thought that was really good too. Probably my favorite part of the 3-part thing was this one also.
Okay, let's start that over?
Yeah. Alright. I think the 3rd part was my favorite as well. I think that a lot of the stuff that happens in the second one doesn't end up really getting resolved in any meaningful way for the 3rd part, but what happens in the 3rd one stands on its own. One cool thing I thought was that we find out where the air acolytes came from. It's not really a question I ever asked, but now I know the answer to it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think I gotta stick by what I said in the last episode, that this would have worked better as one volume, I think. Especially how you said that it sets up for the search so well. But yeah, I'd say this probably was my favorite. I have to agree with all you guys. I like the humor in it. I like that we got to see Iroh finally. I know we were all wondering what happened to him in part 2. And I liked the little wink wink, Iroh invented boba. Hobo Sean. What did you think?
I don't know, for some reason this one felt just more dynamic to me than the other ones. It felt like stuff was happening that was important, significant, action. Yeah. It was also, I thought, the funniest of all of the issues. And I think one of my favorite parts was how, as much as there's stuff in the second issue especially that really didn't amount to much, I did think it brought everything together in the end. I think that it really kind of culminated in a good climax that was unexpected, that was meaningful, and that kind of tied everything up and advanced the story and their characters from the show and in the series.
Things are changing, both in our characters and the whole universe. What did you think about that? What did you think about that?
I thought it was fantastic the way that Aang grew as a character, because all this time he's relied on the avatars for guidance, as any avatar should, but he also has to realize that an avatar has to think for himself. And this is really the first time that Aang has kind of made a decision that no other avatar in the past has ever made. Mm-hmm. He's decided that it's in the best interest of the world for where it's at right now, that he has to turn his back on the spirit world for now and basically form what is going to be Republic City.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with what you said, except for that this is really the second time he's had to make his own choice. Because in the finale of the series of Last Airbender, he basically does the same thing where he has to defy the past avatars and probably the will of the spirit world by not killing.
I would like to say though, he didn't really make that choice. It was given to him by a lion turtle. He was given a way out by the lion turtle. This one, he had no way out. He had to decide, what am I going to do? Spirit world, you're not helping me. Got no lion turtle coming out to help me. Got to decide for
Right,
myself.
but the hard choice would have been to break his own moral code to do what was best for the world.
I mean, I think to me, it was the end of the series, he broke away, right?
Yeah.
And that was just kind of intro. And because the comic, a lot of people aren't going to read this, right? So they can't necessarily advance characters and stuff too far, because then a lot of the audience won't get it. But I think it advances it enough from the breaking point even further, so we could really see that arc come even further than in the show it came.
Yeah, it's like it planted the seeds.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
we're seeing those seeds develop, and we're seeing what kind of a person that Aang is going to be. I mean, we saw Aang and Korra grown up, taking charge, being the Avatar, and this is kind of, we're seeing how he gets to that point, how he's becoming decisive.
You know, that's a really good point, because in the moment that he needs to make that decision, he essentially runs off to go meditate. When the world is needing him, there's a huge conflict. He goes, wait, time out, I'm gonna go meditate. He's like, no, as an Avatar, you need to be the decision maker. You need to be making actions. And I mean, inaction is a choice, and that's what he chose to do.
Right. Exactly.
It's funny, though, you say that he should be decisive. That's exactly what Roku was telling him, though, the entire time. He's saying, you must be decisive. Aang is basically saying, I'm going to be decisive, just not the way you're telling me to be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
right.
in some ways, it echoes even what Fire Lord Ozai is saying. It's like, look,
Yeah.
you make the decision, and you make it right. It doesn't, and that's what he's basically doing. He's going against the will of the spirits, the past avatars, and basically the world up until this point. And he's basically saying, it doesn't matter about that. I know what I'm doing is the most important and the best choice to make. And in a sense, it kind of echoes what Zuko's had to do, obviously, because there's the parallel stories. But
Yeah.
what Fire Lord Ozai has been saying to an extent, I mean, obviously, we get it from a different perspective.
Right, the two forces that are trying to collide, he basically impresses his will upon both sides to do what he says he thinks is right.
Another thing, too, is I thought that they could have taken an easy way out and been like, you're both right, Zuko and King
Yeah.
blah, blah, Bear guy. You're,
No, that's his name.
Bosco?
Yeah.
King Bosco?
King Bosco.
Okay.
You're together. But no, they said, no, Zuko was right. I mean, I like that they did that.
It's interesting how Roku's influence affects this story, because I've thought about this a lot, about how Aang is those avatars. He's the same soul, and he is that person. And in a way, what Roku tells him is right and wrong, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's wrong because Roku grew up in a different time period.
Yeah.
But as a soul, as a person, he is a decisive person, and he knows Aang, this is the person you have to and will become. So in a way, Aang discards the information that is not conducive to the situation, but still managed to grow.
I mean, what I really loved is when he says, no, Roku. I mean, I don't know if that was the exact line, but for me, that was just like a, wow, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I was so
that was
excited.
exciting.
Like, take that, you stupid Roku. Like, you
Just a
dummy.
senile old
I
man.
know,
Yeah,
what are
you
you doing? You just want me to kill people.
Never know what he's doing
So
back
anyways,
there.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, okay, no, but I understand though where Roku is coming from, because Roku's biggest mistake in his life, and the reason why this war started, is because he wasn't decisive. So he's thinking that in order to stop any more conflicts from ever happening, you have to make decisions right away. You have to stop all these conflicts from cultivating.
Well, that's the thing about wisdom. You can impart so much wisdom on other people and receive it from so many people, but ultimately it's going to be your own decision. And kind of what you guys were saying before is that, Aang is having to deal with the repercussions of his past avatar's decisions, specifically Roku in this situation. Due to his actions and inactions, he has to now fix things.
Right.
And just like history repeating itself, Korra now is having to deal with the same choices that Aang has made.
Yeah.
I think this is going a long way towards making a separation between the world, or the physical world, and the spiritual world.
Yeah.
And that I think this is the exact reason Korra has had trouble connecting to the spirit world.
Really?
That does make a lot of sense.
Elaborate what you mean. Explain what you mean.
Think
by
about it like
that.
this. Okay, Aang severed that connection with the spirit world right there when he said, Roku, I'm done, I'm going to make my own decisions. Who's to say that didn't carry on into Korra's own spiritual connection, and that was severed by the time she became the Avatar?
Right, because it wasn't like a physical connection by destroying that. That was symbolic, right? He was essentially severing... I mean, we don't know if he ever goes back to the spirit world. We don't know yet.
Right.
Maybe we'll find out in this search.
Right.
But as of now, this is definitely making a huge, schism, whatever, in...
That's a fascinating point. I mean, like I said earlier, everything's changing. Aang's relationship with the spirits is changing. The world is changing. The nations are not separate anymore. They're starting to merge, and all of this is
Exactly.
leading into Korra, and maybe both of those reasons are why the spirit world is angry. And that, I mean, maybe the reason why this was released, you know, in between seasons of 1 and 2 of Korra is that that's where we need for Korra season 2 is that
it's building up to this.
It's building up to that
And,
in
I
a
mean,
weird roundabout way, you know?
And like we're kind of thinking, like, why would that be an issue? Why would it be an issue that the nations need to be separate?
Well, let's think about it. Okay, why was the Avatar created in the first place? They had to be created because there was some reason that the nations had to be divided. They needed someone to act as a mediator for all of the nations, and to also connect with the spirit world. You know, to keep them informed, to keep them in a part of the physical world. And so, if you sever that connection, I'd be pissed off too. I'd be like, physical world, you never called me back. What are you doing? I'd be mad.
Don't ever call me.
So you guys had responses for last week's viewer response. Let's look at them.
Alright, those are some pretty good responses. Nice job. Ryan, take it away.
Well, for this week, viewers, I would like to know, do you think Ursa, Zuko's mom, ever remarried? And if so, do you think she has other children and that Zuko's gonna have to deal with, like, the half-brother situation?
Alright, okay, Ryan, not bad. But how about let's just okay, what do you think happened to Zuko's mom? Your theories, or what you really think, or just you know, what you think? What you think?
What do you think?
About Zuko's mom.
Yeah.
About, and her children. Potential children.
No, don't. I mean, if you want to write about that, you just don't talk about it. Sean, I gotta say, you've really stepped it up. You've come a long way from being a hobo. You know?
Good Hobo Sean.
Nice job, man.
Do you think you might want to stay in KORRACAST?
Well, guys, I had a blast here. It was so much fun. But I have to go now. I'll cherish this, though.
What happened?
I don't know, was he a ghost or something?
I don't know.
I'll always be here when you need me.